The cafe buzzed around me, laughter, clattering dishes, but I sat alone, numb. His words echoed in the silence of my mind. "You're being crazy, paranoid, it's all in your head." My gut screamed, my head spun. Was I losing it, or was he hiding something? The air hung heavy with the residue of his accusations. Each year imagining things chipped away at my self-worth. I clutched my coffee cup, the warmth a small comfort against the chill spreading through me. How did we get here? This wasn't us, or was it? Our beginning? A whirlwind. It was the kind of love that sweeps you off your feet before you even realize you're falling. Every moment felt electric, charged with possibility, as if the universe had conspired to bring us together at exactly the right time. He was charming, attentive, everything I thought I wanted. He seemed to know exactly what to say, how to make me feel special, seen, and adored. His words were like honey, sweet and addictive, and I found myself craving his attention more and more. We were inseparable, two halves of a whole. Our laughter echoed late into the night, and every shared secret felt like a promise. Friends would comment on how perfect we seemed, how lucky we were to have found each other. He brought me flowers, wrote me poetry, surprised me with weekend getaways. Each gesture felt thoughtful, as if he was always one step ahead, anticipating my desires before I even voiced them. Life felt like a romantic movie montage set to a soundtrack of our song. We danced in the living room, cooked midnight dinners, and made plans for a future that seemed so certain, so bright. But honeymoons can't last forever. The cracks started small, a forgotten promise, a missed call, little things that were easy to brush aside at first, but slowly, they began to add up, a sudden change in his routine. He started coming home later, his explanations vague, his phone always just out of reach. He dismissed my concerns with a kiss and a smile. He'd reassure me with practiced ease, making me question my own instincts, my own reality. "Don't worry your pretty little head," he'd say. His words were gentle, but they carried an undercurrent that made me uneasy, as if my doubts were nothing more than foolishness. But the seed of doubt had been planted. It grew quietly, taking root in the spaces between his words and actions, and I couldn't help but wonder if the love story I believed in was already starting to fade. I started noticing things, a lingering scent of unfamiliar perfume on his shirt, his phone constantly buzzing, always face down. He became distant, his mind seemingly miles away. My intuition screamed. But I silenced it, afraid to seem insecure, to jeopardize the perfect relationship. He had an explanation for everything. The perfume, his colleague, the phone calls, work. My gut churned. But I swallowed my doubts, telling myself I was overreacting. I was the cool girlfriend, the one who trusted blindly. But trust, once broken, is a fragile thing to mend. Something snapped. It was as if a dam inside me finally broke, letting all the doubts and suspicions I'd tried to ignore come rushing in. The silence in the room felt heavier than ever, pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. I couldn't ignore the screaming voice inside me any longer. Every instinct screamed that something was wrong, that the truth was lurking just out of sight, waiting to be uncovered. My mind raced with questions, each one more painful than the last. It wasn't a dramatic confrontation, no shouting matches or flying dishes. Instead, it was a slow, suffocating realization that crept in quietly, stealing the warmth from the room and leaving only a cold certainty behind. Just a quiet, steely resolve to uncover the truth. I knew I couldn't keep living in the dark, pretending not to notice the cracks forming in our life together. I needed answers, no matter how much they might hurt. One evening he went for a shower, leaving his phone unlocked. The opportunity was sudden, almost surreal, as if fate itself had intervened. My hands shook as I picked up the device, knowing that whatever I found could change everything. The messages were like a punch to the gut, each word cut deeper than the last, confirming my worst fears. My world tilted, the ground beneath me suddenly unstable, as I realized the betrayal was real. He'd been seeing someone else, for months. The evidence was undeniable, and the pain was immediate and overwhelming. Confrontation was inevitable, but I needed a moment to gather the pieces of myself before facing him. He denied it at first, his eyes wide with feigned innocence. Then came the blame, his words sharp and defensive, trying to twist the narrative and escape responsibility. It was my fault, he insisted. He accused me of pushing him away, of being cold and unavailable, as if my pain could justify his betrayal. I was too focused on my career, too distant, not giving him what he needed. He painted himself as the victim, twisting my dedication and ambition into reasons for his actions. His words were poison, an attempt to warp reality to make me doubt my own sanity. But deep down, I knew the truth. This was the moment I finally saw things clearly, and there was no turning back. But something had shifted within me. It was as if a veil had finally lifted, and I could see the situation for what it truly was. The pain was still there, but it no longer controlled me. Instead, a quiet strength began to take root, growing with every breath I took. The truth, once exposed, had a power of its own. It didn't need to be shouted or weaponized, it simply existed, undeniable and clear, and it changed everything. I realized that I didn't have to fight or prove anything anymore. His gaslighting no longer held sway. The lies and manipulations that once made me question my own reality now seemed small and desperate. I could finally see how much of his power depended on my silence and confusion. I saw him for what he was, a coward hiding behind manipulation. I packed a bag, not out of anger, but out of necessity. Each item I folded was a step toward reclaiming my life, a quiet act of courage. No dramatic pronouncements, no tearful goodbyes, just silence. The kind of silence that speaks volumes, that says everything words cannot. I left behind the chaos and the noise, choosing peace over conflict. Walking away was the hardest yet most empowering thing I've ever done. It wasn't about revenge or making him feel the pain he caused me. It was about choosing myself, about refusing to let his actions define my worth. It was about reclaiming my self-respect. For the first time in a long time, I felt the weight of his judgment lift from my shoulders. I could breathe again, and in that breath I found hope. His betrayal was a reflection of him, not me. I stopped internalizing his cruelty and started to see it as a symptom of his own brokenness. I was not responsible for his choices, only for my own healing. The truth had set me free. Free from the cycle of blame and self-doubt, free to imagine a future where I could trust myself again. I stepped into the morning light, feeling lighter than I had in years, and in that freedom I found my voice again. The voice that had been buried under years of fear and uncertainty, now rising with quiet confidence. I promised myself I would never let anyone silence me again. The voice he tried to silence. The voice that now spoke with clarity and conviction, reminding me of my strength and resilience. The voice that now whispered, "You are worthy, you are strong, you are enough." And as I moved forward, I carried that truth with me, letting it guide me toward a life built on dignity, not revenge.